Is your Shih Tzu barking non-stop and it's making you tired? Don't worry, because today we're going to help you solve this problem. We know that, despite being small and very cute dogs, Shih Tzus can be quite noisy when they start barking. Sometimes it seems like they never stop, right? But the good news is that there is a way to help your little dog control this. In today's video, you'll learn 7 tips to help you deal with this behavior in a simple and effective way. You'll see that, with patience and affection, it is possible to teach your Shih Tzu to bark less and be calmer on a daily basis. These tips are designed so you can apply them to your dog's routine without complications. It doesn't matter if you've tried other methods to solve the problem before. Now you'll learn how to do it in a way that really works. The most important thing to remember is that your dog doesn't bark for no reason. Every time it barks, it's trying to communicate something to you, and with the right guidance, you'll be able to understand better what it needs and make it stop barking so much. So, if you want a calmer Shih Tzu that doesn't bark all the time, stay with us until the end of the video. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our content. We always have valuable tips to help you take better care of your pet and improve your relationship with them. Enjoy, like the video, and let's learn together how to make your Shih Tzu more well-behaved and happy. To help your Shih Tzu stop barking so much, the first step is to understand why it is doing this. Dogs, just like people, have their reasons for communicating, and barking is their way of showing you what they are feeling or needing. So, before thinking about how to stop your little dog from barking, it's important to know what is behind this behavior. Sometimes, they might be feeling anxious, other times bored, or perhaps they just want to get your attention to play or receive affection. For example, if your Shih Tzu is left alone for long periods, it might bark because it's feeling lonely or anxious. In this case, it could be trying to signal that it needs company. Similarly, if it doesn't have enough activities during the day, like walks or playtime, it might get bored and start barking to distract itself or to get you to play with it. Dogs, especially Shih Tzus, love being close to their owners and feel safer when they have your attention. Another common reason for barking is when your Shih Tzu notices something different in the environment, like an unfamiliar person passing by or an unusual noise. In these cases, barking serves as a warning, as if it's protecting its territory. Even if it seems like something minor, it might appear as a big danger to your dog. So, identifying these moments is also important. One thing that can help a lot is observing when your dog starts barking. Does it bark when you leave the house? Or when it has been a long time without playing? Or perhaps when it sees some movement outside the house? Paying attention to these details will help you understand better what your Shih Tzu is trying to tell you. Another very effective way to help your Shih Tzu stop barking so much is to use training commands. This means teaching your dog to understand words like silence or quiet. It might seem complicated, but with patience and dedication, you'll see how quickly your Shih Tzu can learn. The key to this type of training is positive reinforcement, which means rewarding your dog every time it does what you asked. And you know what that means? Yes, treats. Let's get started. The first thing you'll do is choose a word that will be the command. It could be silence, quiet, or any other word you find easy to use. The idea is that every time your Shih Tzu starts barking, you say this word in a calm but firm voice. There's no need to shout or get frustrated. Dogs understand the tone of your voice, so it's important that your dog perceives you as being firm but not angry. Now comes the fun part. When your Shih Tzu stops barking, even if it's just for a few seconds, you give it a treat. This shows your Shih Tzu that it did the right thing by stopping the barking, and as a reward, it gets something tasty. And of course, dogs love treats. Over time, it will understand that whenever it hears the word silence or quiet and stops barking, it will be rewarded. But be careful. The trick here is to be patient. At first, it might not stop barking immediately. If that happens, wait a few seconds of silence before giving the treat. You can also start in a quiet environment with few distractions so that it better understands what you are asking. As it learns, you can begin training in places where it tends to bark more, like near windows or doors. Remember, training needs to be done gradually and consistently. It's not effective to train just once and expect your Shih Tzu to learn everything all at once. The more you practice, the faster it will understand. Additionally, it's important that everyone in the family uses the same commands and rewards the correct behavior. This way, your dog won't get confused and will learn even faster. A super important tip to help your Shih Tzu stop barking so much is to avoid reinforcing the wrong behavior. But what does that mean? Well, sometimes, without realizing it, we end up giving attention to the dog when it's barking, which makes it think that barking is a good way to get what it wants. And believe me, dogs learn quickly. If your Shih Tzu notices that every time it barks you give attention, it will keep doing it. For example, imagine your Shih Tzu is barking because it wants to play or get affection. If you go to it, talk to it, or start playing to make it stop barking, in your dog's mind, it got exactly what it wanted. And guess what? The next time it wants your attention, it will bark again because it worked the first time. It's like it's thinking, oh, every time I do this, my owner comes to talk to me or gives me affection. What you need to do is the opposite. When your Shih Tzu starts barking for no reason, the best thing to do is to ignore it. That's right, don't look at, talk to, or touch your dog while it's barking. It may seem difficult, especially when the barking is persistent, but it is crucial that you do not reinforce this behavior. By realizing that barking doesn't get what it wants, your Shih Tzu will understand that this is not the right way to get your attention. Now for the most exciting part. When it finally stops barking, even if just for a few seconds, you can give affection and attention. This is the time to show it that when it is calm and quiet, it gets what it wants. This way, it starts to understand that the correct behavior, staying quiet, is what brings rewards, whether it's a treat, affection, or even playtime. It's also important to remember that dogs, especially Shih Tzus, love our company and attention. That's why they will try every way to get it. If you are firm in not giving attention when it is barking and only reward silence, it will learn quickly. Another tip is not to get angry or upset when it barks. Yelling or trying to make it stop in any way can also be seen by the dog as attention, and the effect will be the opposite of what you want. The ideal approach is to be patient and consistent. The more times it realizes that barking doesn't yield results and that silence does, the faster it will learn. In the end, the key is to show your Shih Tzu that being calm and quiet is much better than barking. With patience and affection, you will help your dog understand that barking for no reason is not the way to get your attention. Expending its energy is a great tip to help it stop barking. This is because dogs with a lot of accumulated energy tend to bark more. It's as if they have a lot of desire to do something but don't know how to spend all that energy. And, without something to do, they end up barking more than usual. So, if you want your Shih Tzu to be calmer, the secret is to play, go for walks, and keep it active throughout the day. Shih Tzus may be small, but that doesn't mean they don't need exercise. They love to play, run, and explore their surroundings. So, whenever possible, take your dog for a walk. Walks are a great way to burn off your pet's energy, and they also help it feel happier and more relaxed. If you can, aim for at least one walk a day. It doesn't need to be very long, just enough for your dog to move around and burn off some of that accumulated energy. Another thing that helps a lot is playing with your Shih Tzu. It can be something simple, like throwing a ball for it to fetch, playing tug-of-war with a toy, or even hide and seek inside the house. The more it moves, the more energy it will expend. And the best part is that, after a good play session, it will be much calmer and less likely to bark non-stop. Ideally, your Shih Tzu should have activities throughout the day to avoid getting bored. Boredom is also one of the reasons dogs start barking. They have nothing to do and end up using barking as a way to get your attention or distract themselves. By expending its energy through walks and playtime, you help prevent boredom and reduce the chances of it barking for no reason. An extra tip is to vary the activities. In addition to walks and playtime, you can provide interactive toys that stimulate your Shih Tzu's mind. These toys make it use its brain to solve problems, which is also a great way to tire it out both physically and mentally. A dog that is tired, both in body and mind, is a calmer and quieter dog. By using up this extra energy, you'll see how much calmer, happier, and of course, less barking your dog will be. Remember, a tired dog is a calm dog. Another very useful tip to help your Shih Tzu bark less is to provide smart distractions. You know those moments when your dog seems to bark non-stop simply because it has nothing to do? This often happens due to boredom. The best way to prevent this kind of barking is by keeping your little dog occupied with interactive toys, which are great for entertaining and stimulating its mind. Interactive toys are those that make your Shih Tzu think a bit more to get a reward, such as retrieving a treat that is hidden or solving a small challenge. This keeps the dog busy and focused, which is excellent for preventing it from barking aimlessly. When a dog is engaged in something it enjoys, like playing with a toy that dispenses treats or figuring out how to get a toy out of another toy, it doesn't have time to bark. After all, it's using its brain and paws to solve a fun problem. These toys are also great for tiring out your Shih Tzu because it's not just the body that needs activity, its mind does too. When a dog is involved in a mental activity, it ends up expending energy, which helps make it calmer. And you know what's even better? It has a lot of fun while learning to calm down and bark less. A fun idea is to vary the toys so your Shih Tzu doesn't get bored playing with the same one all the time. There are many types of interactive toys on the market, such as those where you can hide treats inside, ones that spin or jump unexpectedly, or even toys that make noise when it interacts with them. You can use a different toy each day or even create small challenges for it at home. In addition to interactive toys, you can also make the environment where your Shih Tzu spends time more interesting by placing objects that stimulate its curiosity, such as boxes for it to sniff or toys that move. All of this helps keep your Shih Tzu occupied, and the more occupied it is, the less it will bark out of boredom.
Gradual Desensitization technique.
But what does that mean? Basically, you'll get your dog used to the sounds that make it bark, so it won't be as scared or agitated by them. And the good news is that, with patience, it can be simpler than it seems. Let's imagine that the sound of the doorbell is what makes your Shih Tzu bark non-stop. What you'll do is ring the doorbell several times, but in a controlled way, while training your dog not to react. At first, it might bark because that's what it's used to doing, but you'll use treats and rewards to teach it that when it stays quiet and calm, it gets a reward. The trick here is to do this gradually. You ring the doorbell, and if it doesn't bark or stops barking after a few seconds, you give it a treat or some affection. This shows your dog that it doesn't need to bark every time it hears that sound. Gradually, it will understand that staying calm is much more advantageous because it earns a reward for it. It's important to practice this training multiple times, and ideally, start during a calm period when you have time to practice without rushing. You can also vary the sounds if your Shih Tzu barks at other noises, such as the phone ringing or someone knocking on the door. Whenever it doesn't react, or stops reacting quickly, you reward it. Over time, it will get so accustomed to the sound that it won't feel the need to bark anymore. Remember, the secret to desensitization is repetition and patience. It's no use expecting your Shih Tzu to learn everything at once. It needs time to get used to and understand that those sounds are not something it needs to worry about. With affection and consistency, it will become calmer and react less to these stimuli. In the end, this training helps not only to reduce barking but also to make your Shih Tzu calmer and more confident, without being as startled by everyday noises. If you've tried everything to help your Shih Tzu bark less and nothing seems to work, don't worry. Sometimes, even with all the tips and tricks, it can be a bit difficult to solve the problem on your own. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Consulting a trainer or a canine behavior specialist might be the perfect solution to improve the situation. These professionals are like superheroes when it comes to understanding dog behavior. They have incredible knowledge about how dogs think and act. If your Shih Tzu is barking a lot and you don't know what to do anymore, a trainer can help identify the cause of this behavior and create a specific plan to address the issue. Trainers and specialists are trained to handle all sorts of behavioral issues. They will observe how your Shih Tzu acts and interacts with you and its surroundings. Based on this, they will suggest techniques and methods tailored to your dog. They may use some techniques you weren't familiar with or adjust the strategies you were already using. The goal is always to help your Shih Tzu understand what is expected of it and to behave in a calmer and happier manner. Sometimes, barking problems can be linked to something you haven't noticed. It could be anxiety, a socialization issue, or even a health concern. Specialists are trained to identify these problems and offer effective solutions. They might suggest changes in your dog's routine, new training methods, or even recommend veterinary consultations if necessary. Additionally, working with a professional can provide a major advantage: ongoing support. Having someone to guide you and answer your questions along the way makes a big difference. It helps ensure that you're on the right track and applying the techniques correctly. And, of course, it makes the whole process less stressful for you and more effective for your Shih Tzu. If you're feeling a bit lost or frustrated with your dog's barking, remember that seeking help from a trainer or canine behavior specialist can be a great idea. They have the tools and knowledge needed to make a significant difference in your Shih Tzu's life and in yours as well. With their help, you'll be able to see significant improvements and finally have the peace of mind that you and your pet deserve. So, did you like the tips to help your Shih Tzu bark less? We hope these suggestions make a big difference in your pet's life and yours as well. Remember that understanding the reason for barking, using training commands, avoiding reinforcing the wrong behavior, expending your dog's energy, and providing smart distractions are important steps to having a calmer and happier Shih Tzu. And if you feel you need an extra push, don't hesitate to consult a trainer or canine behavior specialist. They can offer the help you need to handle any more complicated situations. Every dog is unique, and what works for one may need adjustments for another. The most important thing is to be patient and consistent with what you do. With love, dedication, and the right tips, you'll see that it's possible to reduce those annoying barks and make living with your Shih Tzu much more peaceful. Now, we want to hear from you. How are the training sessions with your dog going? Do you have any questions or would you like to share your experience? Leave a comment below. We love hearing your story. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks on how to take better care of your four-legged friend. This way, you stay updated with everything we post and continue helping your pet be as happy and healthy as possible. See you in the next video.